Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex news update, and it's that time of the month yet again. We have the official spoilers for the upcoming chapter this month, which drops officially on the 19th of December, and these are coming to us courtesy of the official Naruto website. So once again, this is information that Shueisha and Ikimoto, they want you to know in order to drum up the interest over the chapter itself. This month, official spoilers did go through a bit of a delay due to there being a mistake by the website. The rule of thumb is usually 6 days before the official chapter drops, we get the sneak peek and official spoilers, but this month we got a delay. I got a lot of DMs from people asking, does this mean the chapter's delayed? The answer to that is no, and the chapter will be out officially on the 19th as scheduled. That has not changed. With Jump Festa being December 20th and 22nd this month, there was probably a mix-up. Jump Festa is the really big Shueisha event where you get a lot of updates or upcoming anime and manga that are shown in Jump titles. A lot of series get stages and etc. So it's a really big deal. Lastly, this is the official spoiler from the Naruto website, but the full chapter spoilers will likely be out in the next few days since we do have the V-Jump magazine cover out. And when they do drop, we'll break it all down like normal, and the chapter review, depending on when we get the full spoilers, might be out on the day of the release or 2 to 3 days afterward. So I thank you in advance for your understanding. So with that being said, let's look at what we have from the official Naruto website. So based on what we have right now, we're getting the continuation of a previous set of plot points from the story, which is Kashin Koji's warning to Shikamaru that they must keep Himawari locked away inside the village and forbid her from leaving Konoha under any and all circumstances, and most importantly, alluding to why Kashin Koji wanted Sarada out the village as soon as possible and why they should treat Jura like he's a VIP. Kashin Koji basically told Shikamaru, treat Jura like he's the president of the United States when he visits Konoha, because otherwise, if he gets disrespected, you're going to get your whole village nuked. And Kashin Koji in particular stated that if Jura were to visit a bookstore, to leave him alone at all costs and do not irritate him. Well, the sneak peek shows us that that's just what Jura has done. He's found his way into Konoha and he is shopping at a bookstore, and he has an armful of several books, and the bookkeeper slash shopkeeper inside the store looks like he's about to piss himself as a result, which is understandable. This is the guy who is just inside your village and has just killed several Konoha Jonin, so the right thing to do is to be afraid of a terrorist who is walking into your store. For whatever reason, Jura appears to be in a pissed off mood in the final panel, which we don't have context for, but it raises the question, going back to what Kashin Koji stated, what happens where Jura is potentially pissed off enough that you have to worry about Konoha getting destroyed and Himawari being put in danger? The beauty in 10 Directions is that it lets Kashin Koji see every possible timeline, so for the most part he knows what is going to happen before it happens, unless someone does something unexpected that changes the future. At which point, his 10 Directions, it becomes irrelevant since the future that he saw previously has been altered, and now a new set of potential outcomes has to be factored into all the planning that Koji's previously done. It has to be adjusted or potentially thrown out the window altogether. Now we see why Kashin Koji gave Shikamaru the warning very specifically and accurately about Jura being in a bookstore. Kashin Koji is trying to avoid a worst possible scenario in this outcome. Now, to take this a step further, I do think that this brings into question something that has been on my mind from the very moment Kashin Koji gave that warning to not piss off Jura under any circumstances, which is what could do it, and I think we have our answer now. It's not so much as Konoha Shinobi walking up to attack the guy because the village has pride and it's driving them to defend their village from an outsider who killed their comrades and is after two of their own in Himawari and Kawaki. That's not going to be it, but the story does want you to focus in on that possibility for a misdirection reason. There's a certain blue-green haired pipsqueak who we have to focus on, and understanding why means understanding where Ikimoto very likely has taken his idea or some of his idea for this whole Jura subplot. It's very similar to how Kishimoto took major inspiration from Togashi's Hunter x Hunter opening arc, the Hunter exams, where he basically modeled with adjustments in order to fit the Naruto world. the premise of the tuning exams and the whole format being multiple stages or rounds, if you will, for a very similar examination that was taking place to the ones that we got in the Hunter exams. It very closely mirrors what you had in the Hunter exams. So Kabuto's whole character role in that arc, it was damn near a beat for beat remodel of Tumpa from the Hunter exam arc. But again, it was tweaked, which is what you do when you pay homage. You aren't blatantly copying, so much as you are taking strong inspiration and adding your own twist to it in order to make it unique, basically remixing it, if you will. For Ikimoto, this feels like he's taking a famous and modern Dragon Ball plotline and putting his Boruto twist onto it. Kashin Koji spoke from afar to give the warning to not piss off Jura, or else it would doom and gloom in terms of scenario. In Dragon Ball 11 years ago, in the Battle of Gods movie when it was released that Toriyama wrote, we had North Kaioshin, aka King Kai, give the warning to Vegeta that Beerus, the god of destruction, must not be annoyed or else it would destroy the planet. Jura is someone who loves the culture of Konoha, and his interactions with Shikadai played a huge role in it, saying that he was going to commit his name to his memory, that he took a very unique interest in Shikadai. In Dragon Ball Battle of Gods, Beerus came to Earth and he grew a fondness for it after interacting with the people there, pushing back his initial decision to destroy the planet. Jura is also someone who, when he went into Konoha after spending time inside the bookstore, ended up taking a strong liking to it, to a point that he told Kawaki to watch how he fought because he was afraid Kawaki would end up destroying the bookstore, and Jura proceeded to direct the fight away from the bookstore, if we can even call that a fight, given how one-sided the battle was. Beerus, on the other hand, grew an attachment to food that he ate on Earth, and that was his primary reason to not blow it up for a majority of the story. If we continue down this very similar pattern, look at what you run the risk of and what Kashin Koji is seemingly trying to avoid, in my opinion. So Kashin Koji said, under no circumstances must anyone do anything to piss off Jura, but most importantly, they must avoid fighting him at all costs. He specifically said for no one to challenge him because it was a less than 1 in a million chance they would win the fight if it happened. He made it clear nobody could win. That includes Daemon. Following the Beerus pattern, Majin Buu was the one who pissed off Beerus by eating the pudding that he wanted to try, and it led to a meltdown until Beerus got calmed down and placated. Daemon and Buu, they have very similar personality traits. Both are extremely childish, just as Jura and Beerus both share a similar personality trait. Both are characters drawn with a certain degree of arrogance and elegance to them. Daemon is someone who loves to fight, and the idea of there being someone as strong as Jura inside the village, that's already going to be super tempting. But to take it a step further, if you have Shikamaru or you have Ada tell him to not engage with Jura, do any of us think he's going to listen? Daemon is the same guy who said that he's never been able to fight at full power for once in his life. He's going to be intrigued by this, especially if he learns that Jura defeated Himawari, someone else who Daemon wanted to fight. Daemon already has a face annoying enough that you want to punch it. But imagine what happens if you have Daemon openly provoking Jura into a fight. On one hand, it makes a lot of sense if you do that. We get a clear update answer on where both of these characters are in terms of where they are on the power scale, because neither has used full power. However, on the other hand, you raise the stakes in a major way where it might be too far to turn the heat back down, which is not a bad thing. It can be a good thing depending on how the story handles it. Now, Jura being in Konoha means one thing of importance here that we have to take into note. Who is the person who typically accompanies Jura? It is Hidari. Who is Hidari's target? It is Sarada. Now we're seeing why he told Shikamaru to send Sarada out the village to the Sand Village as soon as possible. It was likely both for a strategical advantage with Matsuri and Ryu in terms of that situation, but also Hidari's after Sarada. And now that he's been revived, you stand a good chance of him attempting to go after both Sarada and her Sharingan. Since the end of their initial encounter, he expressed interest in wanting her eyes. Kashin Koji is seemingly trying to get Sarada out the village. He succeeded in that, and that lines up when you think about it a lot. So it also makes you ask the question, what happens when Jura and Hidari learn that Sarada isn't in the village? Two beings who are able to move through their claw marks, including sticking their head through them in order to communicate with one another. That is something you have to keep your eyes on if you're a fan of Sarada or you're watching her situation unfold. The other thing is that Jura being in the village with very likely Hidari, it makes you question if one of the possibilities that people have asked for might occur, which is if Sasuke's Ten Tails clone is going to meet Sasuke's wife Sakura, who just happens to be in the village at the hospital, and based on where the hospital is in Konoha, it is in the old part of Konoha, which is where the bookstore that Jura visited is located. If it's the same one or it's in a similar area, say it's down the street, it does raise the chance of there being an encounter between these two. There are a few different ways that this can play out, if we're being honest here, because of how volatile the situation is. But Koji gave Konoha specific instructions, and now we are knee deep into the whole warning he gave, which comes just one chapter after Kashin Koji explained one of the weaknesses to 10 Directions. It feels like there is a zinger coming in this chapter. Too much of all this is happening way too soon after we find out all the information we do. And just looking at basic storytelling practices, usually when you do something like that, it's because you're getting ready to subvert the expectations of readers by lulling them into a false sense of security, and this has all the markings of a classic hallmark of that. This was not all done by mistake. Again, this is only the official spoiler released by the website. When the full spoilers leak out, I'll do a video going over all of them, and depending on when we get the full spoilers, the chapter review will either be out the day of release or a couple of days after, since the chapter review editor typically needs 2 to 3 days to edit to maintain the quality you guys have gotten for the reviews. When either of those videos drop, I'll update the link you see here on the screen for you to check out. But in the meantime, check out my Momo ISA video essay from my Anime Explained channel, which is safe for anime-only viewers of Dandadan to watch, or click here to watch the latest Naruto Explained video if you missed that one.